Okay, everybody, welcome back to the Unfuck Yourself podcast. We are here. It is an exciting day because this is the first day of the membership. So we have our membership queens here with us, and they are getting to listen live in on this podcast. Then what's cool is after the podcast, they get an exclusive live Q&A with me that literally no one else can hear. So they get to ask me questions. I get to give them mini readings. I'm going to be giving them tools. They're going to hear some things of me spilling some tea on myself that's not going to go in the podcast as well. So hopefully my secret can stay safe with everyone in here. But we're a close-knit group in here, and it's great because it's literally only $50 a month. So if you want to join, it's not too late. You can get in and cancel at any time. We'll link that for you in the show notes. So it's a very exciting day because we are live recording for the first time, and I'm staring at so many queens' beautiful faces right now, and it makes podcast recording so much more fun. Like, I'm so much more excited to record podcasts now. I do way better when I get to connect with people. When I'm just talking to myself, I'm like, I know people will listen to this later, but I like to look at people and see everyone's beautiful face. So, okay, today's topic is how to not get cheated on in romantic relationships or in business, career, friendships, finances, or really anywhere in life. Also, how to not get cheated out of something. So get cheated out of a position or cheated out of a spot in career, cheated out of money. Now, this is 0.0000001% of the information on this topic. And this is like the foundation of the foundation of the foundation of the foundation. But yet it's still insanely advanced episode. This is still an insanely advanced episode today. And it comes with a trigger warning. We love the podcasts that come with a trigger warning. Apparently I love to trigger people. So it's a great time. So most people of the world can't wrap their heads around what we're about to go into. But you guys are here and listening. You guys who are here and who are listening are so advanced, and I have literally no worries about you. So we're going to dive into this. This is the literal radical responsibility train that we're about to jump on right now. And it's going to bring up some triggers. The ego, well, I like to say this about the ego doesn't want to get fired. So anytime we are uncomfortable, we get triggered, it's actually what you're hearing is the perfect thing for you. We get our emotions confused with our intuition a lot, and our emotions are not our intuition. Okay. Our emotions are not our intuition at all. So when certain things come up today that get triggering, just know your higher self is like, ding, 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 ding. This is the accurate information for you to hear right now, for you to start to shift and embody. I always say growth comes from uncomfortability and being triggered. So when that comes up today, that is a good thing. But I'm going to do my best to explain this in a very neutral way where hopefully no one's like getting so triggered that I don't have that worry with you guys in here. But hopefully no one listening to this on the outside is getting so triggered that you can't keep listening. I'm going to do my best to explain it very balanced. So, okay. We have a creator field. You've heard me talk about this before. Okay. And if you forget, I'm going to explain it again for the 100th millionth time. It is how we create everything. So essentially our creator field, in science terms, it's the electromagnetic field that radiates off of our body. And our creator, but I call it our creator field because it creates literally everything. Our creator field is made up of our thoughts, beliefs, knowings, actions, what we believe to be true about ourselves in the world. It kind of creates one big concoction, writes a script in the creator field, and then the creator field kind of pushes it out and hands that script out to all matter around us. All people, all places, all situations, all circumstances are going to act out the script that we are writing in our creator field. Now, knowing that, that means that what? That means that we create everything. Everything, okay? Every way a person's treating us, every way they're being toward us, every situation, circumstance, event, whatever the fuck we find ourselves in, we have somehow created it. Now, we like to take, I find in the spiritual world, people like to take responsibility for creating things when they like what they created. They're like, oh, I manifested that. manifested this. But then when some shit's going on, they don't want to take responsibility for that they created that. And that's not how it works. We create everything. And people love to go in the spiritual world, they love to go, oh, I manifested this, but I got out of my toxic relationship. They were toxic. You're toxic. You're toxic. You. And they're not taking responsibility. Oh, I created that form of situation in my life. So what's great is when we take the full knowing and full responsibility for creating something, when and only when we do that, well, guess what? We take our fucking power back. Because if we don't like it, we can uncreate it and we can create something we actually do like. But if we stay in the victim role of, oh, they did this to me, they did that, they're this, they're toxic, they're blah, 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 you are constantly taking your power out of your own heart and literally giving it away for free. Therefore, you are not going to ever you're not going to ever, oh my God, words English. You are not ever going to be able to create the reality that you want. Now, that being said, we know this part, but it was important for me to remind you because we're going to go into really triggering things we create. This also applies to verbal abuse. This also applies to cheating. This also applies to physical abuse. Now, before you're like, Allie, well, I'm not fucking hitting myself. Like, what the fuck? Like, why did someone else hit me in the past? Or why did I grow up getting hit? Or why, whatever. Hold the phone. I'm going to explain. Being hard on yourself is a form of abuse. Okay. Even in any area of life. Okay. So being hard on yourself with money, right? Oh, I don't make enough. I don't do enough. Oh, I spent it wrong. I shouldn't have spent it here. Like beating yourself up about how little or how much or whatever your choices are with money. If you are also not paying yourself first when you make money, sorry if you hear my dog Honey in the back. Clockwork, you guys. Every time I turn on the recording, bark, 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 bark. It's why I got the Dallas apartment. However, we don't have the setup in there yet. So bear with me. Now I hear Justin going out to like help her. Okay. So we being with money, being hard on ourselves. Okay. So even when we get money, there's a thing with money, there's a universal law with money that we need to pay ourselves first and then go pay our bills or go pay the things, right? If we aren't doing that, that is also a form of abuse, right? We could be being hard on ourselves mentally. Oh, we didn't say the right thing here. We're not smart enough here. We don't like how we acted here. We could be being hard on ourselves emotionally. I shouldn't feel that way. My emotions are too much. We could be being hard on ourselves physically. My face is weird. I have acne. It's ugly. Like my body isn't the way I want it to look, right? I mean, think about your day and who's been hard on themselves already today. Like raise your hand, right? It is a very normal human thing to have those thoughts. It's how we've been conditioned. So when we create that, it will create a partner to verbally abuse you, right? So that's not really the topic today, but I want us to understand all of these triggering things are things we created. Now, it's not about shaming or blaming ourselves, but it's about going, oh, wait, I actually don't want this to happen again. So if I don't want this to happen again, I can actually take responsibility for I'm being a certain way to myself. However, I feel like they're being toward me, I'm being toward myself in some way, some area of life. Now, you may be praising yourself in career, but you may be shitting on yourself physically, right? So you might be like, Allie, well, no, I praise myself in this area, but I'm like, if I could go around each person, I could find the area of life where you're abusing yourself, where you're being really hard on yourself. Now, a level 10 of that can sometimes can result in extreme emotional abuse. And then not respecting your physical body, like hurting yourself physically, maybe not, doesn't have to be like cutting yourself or that kind of thing. It could be like not feeding your body the right foods all the time because you don't have that respect for your physical body or whatever it is. That could eventually result in physical abuse, right? So that's not really today's topic, but I'm trying to get to everyone on the same page of like, we create these things, but that means that we can uncreate them. Now, we create the perfect situation, circumstance, and place to meet the person who would do that. Make sense? So the person already has their own thing going on, right? They already have their own imbalances and their own stuff, and they would do it to anyone who is a match for it. But we create the perfect situation, circumstance, and event where we're going to run into this person, where we're going to meet them, where we're going to get fooled by them for a minute, and then we're going to be in a situation we don't like, right? They would do it to anyone because they have their own stuff who was a match for it, right? Your creator field created the perfect time, place, situation to be in that moment. Make sense? Okay. So the second we say we create everything, we unlock the creator field and we can create different and better. But if we only believe, quote, I have the ability to change most things, not everything, most things, well, now you can change most things, but the things that will be the most important that you actually want to change, you won't be able to change. So you can be like, oh yeah, I create most things, but then this thing over here that I really don't like that's going on, I didn't create that. If we do that, the thing you really don't like that's going on, you won't be able to change. So we need to get to a place of we create literally everything, because it's not about blaming or shaming ourselves, but it's about taking radical responsibility. The second you can go around and notice all the parts of your life, the negatives, the shit hitting the fan, and all of the stuff that you don't like, and look at it and go, I created that. The second you connect to understanding that, you take radical responsibility over your life and you can create differently. And the second you connect an action to the belief and the repetition, it creates a knowing, and it hits the subconscious and it creates a knowing, and it just becomes this knowing in your being that you embody, okay? And the second you have the knowing that you create everything, you don't have to know how you created it, but all you have to know is that you created it somehow. That's when you gain control over your creator field. And now, then and only then, you have the ability to change everything and anything. So when something happens to us, we step into this place of power and we can go, I created this. I don't like it, so I'm going to change it. Versus, why is this happening to me? They're this, they're that. Oh my God, this just keeps happening. Run away. Well, you run away and you keep creating the same thing because you don't know, you're not creating differently, right? So you leave one relationship, you get in the next one, they kind of treat you the same. You leave that, get in the next one, they kind of treat you the same. You leave that, you swear off relationships, well, now your boss is treating you like that, right? It will follow you. It follows us until we choose to create differently. So how do we create somebody cheating on us? Great question. I'm glad you asked. So let me tell you my story first, which part of this we will cut out for the people listening to this, but we'll only cut out the parts that I'll tell my team to. But okay, so I have gotten cheated on physically and emotionally. And now my relationship, this man does not even have one thought of another person, but that was not always the case. Getting cheated on, when I did, Jesus Christ himself would have cheated on me. Do you guys get that? Buddha himself would have cheated on me. Like the best man in the world would have cheated on me because of my creator field, which I'll explain to you in a second. Okay. Like Jesus mixed with Buddha, mixed with everyone, all the other 1,000 frequency ascended masters mixed with the best men ever to ever exist would have cheated on me, okay? Because of my creator field. Now, that makes me feel better, honestly, because at least now you're like, oh, nothing's personal. It's just how I'm being toward myself, they're going to be toward me. This should give you, honest to God, a sense of relief, okay? Like, this should give you a sense of relief because like people take it personally, like, oh my God, I'm ugly, I'm this, I'm that, blah, 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 blah. No, you created it, meaning however you're being towards yourself, they're going to be towards you. So they literally are just acting out a script that you are writing. But in order for him to shift his own imbalances, I shifted mine. People like to take credit for creating someone stepping up and not take credit for them cheating on them. I created both because we all do. Now, when I created this, I felt about 2% whole. And you'll understand what that means in a second, but just like remember that, put that in like the side for now. I felt about 2% whole. And now looking intuitively, I feel about 98% whole. That's a big difference. All I had to do was understand the certain ingredients and things we have to program in the creator field, which we're going to get into in a second. So I wanted to share part of my own story first because I have been on both sides of this, okay? And then I would get to points where I would feel a little more whole, but then I would create like following random girls on Instagram that I didn't know, or I would create like situations of being out in public and then like looking at another girl walk by, or that I would create like things like that, or I would create there was a situation one time where the person got really, really drunk and got somebody's number at a bar, and then I found out about it like months later, right? So I would create little situations like that. So that would go on and on and on until I fully figured out how to completely feel whole. I'll explain why it's important to feel whole and what that even means a little bit later. So I have been on both sides. I can scan thoughts and I can see, and I would out myself if it wasn't the case, because I'm outing myself for when it wasn't the case, but I can see the thoughts, and there's literally not one at this point because of feeling whole. There was also a time back in 2021 where around like the time this was going on, a little bit after, but where I everyone, and this was a lot for me at the time because I was probably making like 15K a month then, and my students weren't as far range as they are now. So I had like a group of students I would always kind of see, like they would just I would see like kind of the same ones all the time, like in mentorship and that kind of thing. Well, one day in my mentorship program, literally every single person in it who paid, I think it was $1,000 a month at the time, and there were 10 people, they all dropped. So I was out like literally 10K, and my apartment at the time was like $4,200 or something, right? So your girl, like everyone just dropped like flies. It was not because of my intuition, because of my talent, because of what I was teaching. It was because I did not feel whole. They felt like, because I felt like I was missing things, they felt like they couldn't get everything they needed from me, right? And so then it happens in business. It can, and then that equals with money, right? So I just wanted to give you a little backstory of how this has happened to me. So I'm not just saying this like from like a, this has never happened to me place. Cool. So everything in this universe is made up of ingredients. Everything from love to specific amounts of money to career to the perfect pet to like the car you want to buy, have enough money to buy. Like it all requires a specific recipe. Okay. It's made up of emotional ingredients, thought broadcasts, actions, physical actions, and some other stuff. I talk a lot about this in my courses. Now, what we can do with intuition is we can get to a level of a super, super precise intuition, and we can see behind the matrix, if you will. You can see behind like the codes that make up the matrix, and you can see the codes that are written in it. If you want to love, there's a code for that, right? If you want so nobody ever cheats on you again, there's a code for that. If you want a code for 1 million followers on TikTok, there's a code for that. If you want a code for magnetism or sexual attraction, there's a code for that. If you want to make $80 million, there's a code for that, right? There's a code and it's certain sets of ingredients for everything. The ingredients of being in a relationship where someone cheats on you, there's a code for that, okay? So how this happens and how to create someone to cheat on you. For a lot of people, what happens is this starts around probably 5 years old. You'll be in a situation, and the overall arching lesson of the situation that you take on when you're 5 is I am less than whole. So basically, I'm not good enough. Okay. And it might be feeling not good enough with feeling smart. You might not feel smart enough, right? I didn't fucking feel smart enough. Your girl couldn't pay attention for shit. And no, I wasn't like in a place that like where my abilities could thrive. So I'm sure we all in here have felt that in some way, shape, or form with something. So it makes you feel not smart enough, right? Or it might be I have an incredible smartness, like I'm incredibly smart, but I don't feel 100% perfect in my body. Like my body I need a nose job. Like I need to be skinnier. I also felt like that. I also felt like I needed a nose job for a very long time. I felt like I needed lip filler. I felt like I needed to be skinnier. I felt like, all of these things and insane body dysmorphia problems my whole entire life, even though it made no sense. I'm sure we can all relate. So essentially, we create a creator field where people feel like they have to make a sacrifice to be around us. Okay. Because now I have a question. Can anybody ever be without? According to the universal laws, the laws of the universe, can anybody actually ever be without something? The answer is no. So, great. So, your romantic partner, your business partner, your boss who's looking to promote someone for a raise, people who want to buy what you're selling, all of these people also cannot be without. So if you don't feel whole, the script you're writing in your creator field is essentially, you can't get everything you need from me. So for example, let's say you feel only 30% whole physically in your physical body, meaning, and the percentages, by the way, I am using intuition to, this is an example, but when I say percentages for myself or for anyone else in here today, I'm using like scientifically precise intuition to actually scale the percentage of things. So that's what I mean when I say percentages for anyone who's like, what the fuck are you saying? Okay. So let's say you feel only 30% whole out of 100%, right? Physically in your physical body, meaning like you're not seeing how your physical body right now is 100% perfect and does not need to change to be perfect. You will create then a partner who needs to get that other 70% from somewhere else. Okay. They're going to find the perfection in the girls on Instagram. They're going to find the perfection in the girls walking by. They're going to find perfection in the girls on whatever, the OnlyFans. They're going to find perfection in the girls at their church, wherever it is, wherever they go, they're going to find perfection in the girls somewhere. Okay. Now, if it is, I'd say about 30% or less of feeling physically whole, you are now opening a whole gateway to get physically cheated on as well, not just emotionally. Okay. Anything under, I'd say, 38%, you're opening the gateway to also now get physically cheated on. Okay. So, because literally our partner is going to need to get it from somewhere else because we cannot be without. So, another example of this is if you run a business, okay, and you feel 30% physically whole, you will create people not wanting to buy what you're selling because 70% of you wants to be somebody else physically. So they will only feel like 30% of them want to be like you. Therefore, subconsciously, they'll feel like 70% that they don't want to be like you. Therefore, they're not going to buy what you're selling. We all buy what someone's selling because we like something they're doing, right? We're buying the outfit that someone's wearing because they're selling it and we like the outfit, right? You're buying this course because you're buying intuition course because you're like, oh, Allie has a good intuition. Like I like her intuition. I want my intuition to be like that. So I'm going to go to her intuition course, right? Whatever we're buying, we are buying it because we want to be like that aspect of whatever we're buying, right? Or if it's about getting a raise at a job or getting a job or getting a promotion, the person who's in charge of promoting you is only going to feel like you are going to give them 30% of what they need. And not that they logically know this, like they're not going, oh, 30%, like unless they're using their intuition, but it's a subconscious thing. They're going to feel off of you. They're going to feel like, and no, like she's not going to give everything that we need for this position. Like it's not worth paying her. We can't get everything we need from her. Not worth paying her the money. Like, let's go with this person. And that's what it's going to create. So in friends, You will create friends leaving you out and not inviting you places, or they do invite you places. Even worse, they do invite you places, but when you're there, you feel like you're not feeling loved enough or getting enough attention from them. It's because subconsciously they only feel they can get 30% of what they need from you. So the rest of the time, they're going to be out and about getting what they need from everybody else. Okay. So feeling whole is a component of 4 ingredients. Okay. Easy. 4 ingredients to feel whole, to not get cheated on ever. Super fucking easy. Great time. Now, at the Glow retreat we're doing at the end of this month, we are going to dive in deep on all 4 of them. Way, way, way more advanced than we're already doing, even though this is very advanced, and do a lot of healing, reprogramming, creator field work, a lot of somatic work around all of this. But we're scratching the surface of each little ingredient today here, okay? So we got physical. That's the first ingredient of feeling whole. And physical meaning being in love with your physical body, okay? Like just fully, like you don't need to change anything, right? You no longer want the nose job. You see the perfection in whatever's going on with your body right now. And there's a lot of tools and things I have to do that inside of the Glow formula, inside of the Glow retreat, inside of lots of programs, right? So number 2 is emotionally, okay? So we have physical and now we have emotional. Emotionally feeling whole. Now, what does that mean? That means to not gaslight yourself when you feel something, right? You feel something, you're like, oh, I shouldn't feel like this. I'm gonna, stupid. I don't have time to feel like that. Right. Or like, oh my God, I'm stressed or I'm anxious about this thing, like, but I don't want to say it because I don't want to be weird that I'm anxious and I don't want people to think that I'm weird because I'm anxious. And and you're just like constantly emotionally gaslighting yourself and you're not fully unconditionally in love with your emotions. Emotions are hot. Emotions are literally why our soul is back here. This is the only realm we can experience emotions in. Your soul would not be back here if it did not want to experience emotions. Emotions are how we create things. Emotions are how we manifest, right? We're talking about it right now. If you don't feel as an emotion, physically whole, you're creating what you don't want. If you feel physically whole, feel as an emotion, you create what you want, right? So emotions are how we create things. Whether we like what we're creating with our emotions or not, we can shift our emotions to create what we do like, but emotions are how we create things. So emotionally feeling whole is feeling like your emotions, no matter what it is, no matter if you're a raging fucking cunt bitch or you're like crying or you're anxious or whatever, that they are helping you, that they are the best thing ever, because they are. Because even if you are raging cunt bitch, it's fucking great. It's a fun time. And even if you are having insane anxiety, like that's helping you see that something's off and that you can shift something to create what you want, right? If you're having fear, the fear is just showing you something to help you create that help you create what you want, right? So emotions are good. So the second you can be like, oh my God, my emotions are 100% necessary and they're the best thing that could happen to me and they're the fucking hottest thing. Like, okay, go if you're like, oh, my anger isn't hot. Yes, it fucking is. We're lionesses in here, okay? Look up literally like the jungle and lionesses in the jungle, like actual lions, like lionesses. They do not fuck around. Like you fuck around with them, you're gonna find out like the lion goes up to them and does something that's a little bit out of line. That lioness is like, just putting him back in his place and they respect it. Why do they respect it? Because she's fully committed to that emotion, right? If you are like out of what you would deem as emotional control and you feel like you're out of control and you feel like you're crazy, well, someone else is going to call you crazy because you feel like you're being crazy. Someone else is going to literally call you crazy. That's what happens, right? So if you only feel, I don't know, 20% emotionally whole, well, now there's 80% of that people are going to feel like they need to get from somewhere else. They're not going to trust you. They're not going to want to open up to you. They're not going to feel safe around you. So they're going to go open up and feel safe around someone else. That creates a lot of emotional cheating, right? It creates, again, people feeling like this creates in business. If don't feel emotionally whole in business, it creates people feeling like you're hiding something. Because if you don't feel emotionally whole, your heart's just as closed as the amount of whole emotionally you feel. So if you feel 20% emotionally whole, your heart's only 20% open. Makes sense? 20% emotionally whole, your heart's only 20% open. 25% emotionally whole, your heart's only 25% open. And when someone's heart's only 25% open, you just don't, you like them, but you feel like who's had that with somebody, right? Or maybe someone said that about you. Like, you like them, but you just feel like I can't fully like get in there. Like I don't know fully what's going on because their heart's closed. So now the problem with this is in business, in career, if your heart is closed, people are going to feel like they can't trust you. Okay. You guys would not trust me if my heart was closed. There was a point where my heart was closed and it was rare that I was it was in the beginning of my business. I caught it really quick, but I was not creating the business that I'm creating today. If your heart's closed, people are just going to feel like there's something about her. Like the information's good, like, but there's just something I don't trust. Like they're hiding something. That's what people are going to feel like. We'll create friendships where your friends, like, they just don't feel like they can get close to you because they just feel like you're not fully telling them something. Like they feel like you're hiding something. They're not going to want to invite you places because they just feel like you don't really want to be there because your heart's closed, right? Even though you want to be there, they're going to feel like, she doesn't really like care if she's around us because our heart's closed. So that's what they feel from us. Okay. Now, same thing. I have a lot of tools on that in Glow, and you're going to get a lot of tools with that one at the retreat to fully work on. But that is the second ingredient of becoming whole. Okay. The third is mental. Okay. Mental. Mental is feeling like you are the smartest in the world at what you're good at. So it doesn't mean I have to be the smartest in the world at being a doctor, but I have to feel like I'm the smartest in the world at being Allie and doing what I do. Right. So feeling like you are the smartest in the world at being you and nobody can be you better than you. And whatever you create that comes from you is going to be the best motherfucking thing since sliced bread. Same thing. Let's say we feel, we keep going lower, 10% mentally whole, right? Well, now there's 90% in career. People are not going to want to hire you. They're going to be like, this girl is not competent. Even though you might be insanely fucking smart, if you don't feel like you are, right? Here's the thing, talent means nothing because you could be insanely smart, but usually the people with the biggest gifts are the ones who are insanely hard on themselves until they get the tools, right? So that's what sucks is that you have probably the most talent out of anybody, but what comes with the most talent is insane amounts of being hard on yourself, which, is happened. And that's why we've created Glow Formula and that kind of thing. But usually that's paired with being insanely hard on yourself. So what sucks is you're probably the most qualified for something, but someone who's like a quarter qualified as you is getting it because they're just more confident and they think they're like the best thing since sliced bread, right? So this will create literally, you won't even have to say anything. They're just going to look at your resume. They're going to just pass it right away. They're not even going to give it the time of day. It's just a subconscious energy thing. You're creating it. People feel the frequency and vibration that is literally like coming off of you. Okay. Same thing in romantic relationship. 90% of your partner now feels like they can't get what they need mentally from you. And if you don't know to have a good soul match in relationship, it's a mental, physical, energetic, and spiritual match. And those are the things that it takes to be whole. Okay. So they're going to feel like mentally that they don't feel like they want to talk to you. Like they're not feeling they want to talk to you. Like you're gonna create them not wanting to open up's more emotional, not wanting to talk to you, like not wanting to have conversation with you. You're gonna create them just kind of like not really pursuing quality time, and you will create them just like you don't see each other, you get home, you turn on the TV, you go to bed, kind of thing. That's what can get created from that. Again, tools on that in the Glow Retreat. Now, number 4 of feeling whole is spiritually. Now, what this means is an undeniable, unconditional trust in your intuition, not your emotions, your intuition. Okay. So now trusting our emotions that are leading us to something, but not trusting that your emotions are your intuition. Makes sense? We want to trust our emotions that they're coming up for a reason to show us something. We don't want to trust them as like, that's the intuition, right? So undeniable, unconditional trust in our intuition. What that looks like is if you have this like gut pull to not do something like not go to college, then don't go, right? But if you're, or a common one that happened in 2020 was a lot of people had the gut pull to not get the vaccine. Then a lot of people got bullied into getting the vaccine and they let them, not, they didn't get bullied, they let themselves get bullied into getting the vaccine. That is going against your intuition. So you're basically saying, I don't trust myself. So then that writes a script of, I don't trust you. So your partner is not going to trust you. Your partner is going to start accusing you of things. If you are only, we keep going lower, but 5% feeling like you trust yourself and feeling like your intuition is the best fucking thing ever, and you'll trust yourself unconditionally, if you're only 5% feeling that, well, now 95% of your partner doesn't trust you. They're going to start accusing you of a lot of shit. You're going to be so confused. You're like, I'm a good person. I'm not doing anything. What are you accusing me for? They're going to do that. Friends are going to start accusing you of things that you're not doing. People will start accusing you things of that you're not doing. Business, forget about anyone buying what you're selling. They don't fucking trust you. They're not buying what you're selling. The person hiring you does not trust you to get the job done at this point anymore, right? So this is some of the situations and circumstances we can create these things in. Again, more tools for that at the Glow Retreat. So those are the 4 ingredients, the code that makes up a creator field that does not get cheated on in life and business, cheated out of things, whatever it is. So when you can get the right tools, the right things to implement it, and now my queens in the membership get to ask questions here soon, where I'm sure they'll have a question of what tool they can implement and they're going to get to have it. Not going, I can't like, don't have time on the podcast stage, like give full tools for everyone, but you can come to the membership, you can get it at the Glow Retreat. The Glow Retreat's way more intensive and even what we have time here for today. But those 4 ingredients are what is the code and the sauce of creating a creator field that feels whole. Now, remember, we create this. Your girl, aka me, has gone from getting cheated on, has gone from, let me tell you the story actually. Let me tell you the story of how I knew I got cheated on. So, okay. And we can put this in the recording because I won't name names, but I was at this person's house and, but just so you know, the membership did hear the name, everybody. I was at the person's house and this was when we first started dating. Like I was visiting their house. So I was visiting their house and this was about like maybe 6 months into us, not even, maybe 4 or 5 months into us dating. We were exclusive by this point though. So my intuition is like, open the drawer. I open the drawer, there's a box of condoms and it was closed, like totally closed. Okay. So then the next time I'm back at this person's house, my intuition goes, open the drawer. Open the drawer. There was a missing condom, one from the box of condoms. We didn't use condoms ever. So I said, that's interesting. So I brought it up to the person and he said, oh no, my neighbor needed one. I was like, oh, are you the fucking condom fairy? Like your neighbor really? Your neighbor knocked on your door and said, I need a condom? Like I literally doubt it. But at the time, I didn't feel whole even with trusting myself spiritually, right? So while I had a really good intuition for other people, when it came to myself, I didn't feel whole in so many ways. I didn't feel whole physically. I didn't feel whole emotionally to trust, to like be connected to them. I didn't feel whole spiritually to trust my intuition with that moment. And so I was like, okay, whatever. Like he looked me in the eye. And at the time, I didn't see him as a person who would do that or who would lie about it. Like I very much, it was wild. Like my higher self just like blacked out anything in his creator field that would have steered me away in the beginning. I like didn't even think that he would be the person to do that. So I was like, okay, whatever. Like, I guess he's the fucking condom fairy. Well, about once or twice a year, I would like get mad at it again. And I would bring it up again. I'd be like, that time with the missing condom, like literally, what the fuck happened? He would continue to like lie about it. Well, eventually the truth came out. And it was only when I was a match for the truth. It was only when I was about like 76% whole when that happened. And then that coming out allowed me to then like that coming out, like I wasn't even shocked. I was like, I fucking knew it at that point. Like I was like, duh. Like I actually just felt validated. I'm like, okay, like I'm not a fucking crazy, right? So at that point, I felt like around 76% whole, and it allowed me to get the last piece, which for me was like emotion stuff, to bring in that last piece of feeling whole. And now it's great. So I was even getting lied to about it for a minute because I was a match to, right? When I was no longer a match to, the truth came out. And then it allowed me to plug in that last one piece, right? So really, really cool stuff can happen with this. Like I have gone from 2% whole to 98% whole in a matter of a very short time, like 3 years. But even like me actively understanding this, because I understood I created it before, but I didn't really understand the feeling whole thing. So pretty much in a year of understanding like the full code of feeling whole, I've gone from, I don't want to say 2% because 2% was like 3 or 4 years ago, but the whole grand scheme of things, 2% to 98%. Now everyone listening can do this way faster because you don't have to do the trial and error and be like, what the fuck's going on? I've been telling you what the fuck's going on and how to, shift things. So this is very possible to shift. My friends who I have are the most loyal fucking friends I could even begin to explain. And when that wasn't always the case, I had one time someone on my team, no one here knows, and this was years ago, steal money from the business. I didn't even fucking know or find out until like months fucking later. It was wild. I wasn't even a match to know. Like that's how deep in the hole of not feeling whole that I was. So I've had a lot of these situations go on, and now my team, I don't even have to worry about them. I don't even like check in. I just know they're doing their shit. Like I literally don't worry about them. I literally know they're all showing up to their best of their ability. I am like not worried about them at all. And even though COO Sarah runs a team, so I'm sure she's a little more worried about everyone than I would be at this point, but I don't worry one bit about COO Sarah. Like I know I don't have to like check in on COO Sarah and like make sure, like I know this girl's getting her shit done because that's just like how she is. I had to feel whole though to create a COO like that. Make sense? So I have a really, really good retention rate with employees, with students. My friends are the most loyal as could be. Like if anybody, I kind of feel bad. Like if anybody's like rude to me, I look at the reflection, but they're like, they don't have it. They're like, they will come at you. So I have this very loyal kind of situation. I have an insanely loyal situation in my relationship who now like kisses the ground I walk on and who has turned his own life around. Like he was not in the masculinity thing that he's in now. He's done a lot of shifting because I have been a match to create that. Now, he could have decided on his own to go do that shifting, but if I didn't shift, I wouldn't be a match to reap the benefits of that shift. Makes sense too. So if there was a case where that happened, I wouldn't have then been a match to reap the benefits of it. So if you create something you don't like, you can very, very, very much uncreate it as long as you take radical responsibility that you created it. Like I said, Jesus Christ himself would have cheated on me. It's okay, right? It happens. We don't know any better. And then you can be like, okay, well, fuck that, not doing that again. So let me create something different. And you can very much do that. Okay, so that is my little situation for you today. Sit here and listen to this podcast episode over and over and over again. A lot got said. Now, if you're wanting to dive into this deeper at the Glow Retreat in Scottsdale at the end of February, we are immersing ourselves in 3 full days of this. Each day, there's going to be 1 day of full emotional healing and feeling whole. There's going to be 1 day of full physical healing and feeling whole. Then there's going to be 1 day we're going to break mental and spiritual into the same day. Half the day is going to be mental, half the day is going to be spiritual. of feeling whole. You're going to get to work in groups. You're going to get live Q&A time with me there. You have my team trained intuitives there as well to help and hold space. And COO Sarah will be there. Queen Patrice will be there. We have a lot of fun things. We have Jana who will be there. Emma, team intuitive, who will be there. Caitlin, contracted team intuitive, who will be there. Lots of space is being held. Only 15 spots are filled right now. So it's looking like it's a small group, which like I secretly love and like always hope for at retreats because I like to be able to get in one-on-one as much as I can. So we will be diving in to the advanced versions there. Don't come unless you're ready to go even more advanced and do some weird shit. Like if I told you the shit we were going to do there, you would be like, you're weird, but you'll feel better after. So don't come unless you're ready to do that. Okay, so now I'm going to close out the podcast, and now we are going to get into the Q&A with the members of the Unfuck Yourself membership. If you feel FOMO of the Q&A, don't worry. We'll link that in the show notes for you. You can join us in the next one. Okay, everybody. Bye.